morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm well, thanks. On a Monday morning, first day back at school, term 4.
Yeah, beautiful Mondays. Always.
Beautiful Monday morning. So this is a new concept for us, our conversations in business. And the concept is that we share some valuable business information and use that as an opportunity to introduce ourselves to a wider community.
To the world.
It's a bit of a first ever online chat.
Yeah.
I'd like to keep the information short. I'd like to keep it valuable, but I'd also like to keep it casual and real.
Yeah.
And I think the first step is just to introduce us so that people know who we are. So, Cristian, you are a chartered accountant.
That's right.
Now, would you like to introduce yourself? That might actually be
easier. Sure. Look, well, thank you, Fiona, for the time. I really appreciate this, and I'm sure we're going to add value to mutual clients or people that will get something good out of this. Well, I'm a chartered accountant. My name is Cristian Montofre. I've been in practice for over 15 years now, public practice. Before that, I was operating a family business in the clothing manufacturing area with mum and dad. This is when I was younger. I'm also a graphic designer by profession and qualification. I worked in the media and communications industry or printing industry for a few years. So I learned a lot about design concepts, design thinking. And now I'm the one of the managing partners of a firm called Synergy Advisory, where we focus on 5 areas of business where we can work with small businesses, individuals, investors, also non-profits. And also we focus strongly on education as well, and business as well. So, I have a family, live in Auckland, and try to make the most of everything in life, and help people as well, help business owners. Yeah.
And you went through quite a significant rebranding exercise last year.
Yeah. So basically because I'm also a licensed immigration advisor, so we have quite a large client base with the immigration but also business side of migrants coming to New Zealand. So the accounting practice was called Synergens, and then Synergy Advisory grew or came about by the combination of the services that we provide with my business partner. And so we rebranded, and we're still going through the rebrand exercise because it takes a while to get it to the level that you actually communicate what you're all about. And we're in the final stages of launching soon our new website. And so it was quite entertaining, and it sort of fits in with what I've done in the past in branding and advertising, and also print from that experience that I have from many years ago.
Great. Well, thank you. I think that gives people a good overview of what your background is, where you come from, and where your skill set lies. I think at this point, it's also really important to mention that your focus or our focus is very much around small business.
That's right.
Yeah. Business development, improvements that businesses can make. And I mean, life as a business owner can be lonely.
Yes.
We are expected to be experts in all fields. And to have a team of people behind you for, personal as well as business development is no doubt needed. I think, especially in today's climate, we've seen a massive increase of individuals working for themselves. And a lot of them may be very good at what they do, but not necessarily very good at the business management side of things, or tax and finances. A lot of people run away from that and don't want to. So having somebody that you can relate to and call on is very important, I believe.
Yeah, I tell clients, when we have discussions around where to go, what options to explore, or making decisions, you always gotta have your network or your support network. It could be your lawyer, your solicitor, your accountant, your financial advisor, close family members or friends as well, or even members within your management team, or or suppliers that you work with that you have a really good relationship with. So, and with COVID, what we've found is that it has created opportunities for people to be able to go on their own and work remotely, or find that lifestyle or that balance that they're looking for. And believe it or not, big corporate firms, or the larger organizations are looking into the the work-life balance with more of a intent, I would say, on well-being, that mental well-being, because running a business is very, as you know, difficult, stressful, and sometimes you have to make critical decisions in a very short period of time. And who do you talk to? Where do you go? Sometimes you call the IRD and it takes about an hour to get through, or half an hour or an hour, and sometimes they get it wrong. So it's very
some people are also just very intimidated by having to deal with these issues.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And it can be overwhelming, the amount of information available, which is something that we discuss with our clients, that you don't need to listen to everything that you see or hear. You need to establish the facts first, and then look at the relevant information that will help you make a decision, or even go through a transaction, or maybe when you're forecasting cash flow, looking at the assumptions that you're making on the basis of what information. So you're absolutely right. It's sometimes things can be overwhelming as a small business owner, and having a support network helps a lot. And accountants, business advisors are using all these digital means to communicate more effectively with their clients and add value. That it's actually good. It's good for the economy, good for everybody, and good for feeling supported.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'll just take a couple of moments to introduce myself to those that are listening. My name is Fiona Tate. I am the founding director of Sorted Out. I registered a business in 2017. And since then, I've experienced steady growth in my client base. And Sorted Out really was founded to support people exactly as we've just discussed. Normally people don't come to me when things are going well. They come to me because they have an issue that needs sorting out. My focus is very much on self-employed individuals, startups, small business. I am a zero praxis. I believe very much in that zero is changing the face of accounting.
Oh, it has, yeah.
And I believe that it's putting the power and the knowledge and making it quite easy for people. There will always be people that don't want to do it and don't want to know and really struggle with it. And there are some that are very, very good at it. So, I never have had a one size fits all. It would be quite nice sometimes to have that, but I think every business is unique. Every individual is unique. Everybody needs different things. We are all very different. So Sorted Out is very much around doing as much or as little as needed and supporting the individual so that they can maximize their efforts and, dare I say it, feel good about what they're doing and make it work for them.
That's right.
The variety of it is wonderful. I really enjoy the variety. It's not a straight bookkeeping / accounting. We've joked around counseling and supporting people as well, so that they can exceed or, proceed well and have the confidence to move forward in business and set their own goals at their own speed and their own pace. So empowerment, training, and a good dose of consulting is really what we're about. So I would at this point like to encourage anybody who might be scratching their head and not knowing where to from here to get in contact with us. There is a vast amount of support, be it around social media, website design, bookkeeping, accounting, taxation, administration, the works. So some people would call me the office manager and others would call me the accountant. So, that's a good place for me to be.
Yeah.
So I have a background. I've been self-employed for over 15 years. I do have a background prior to that working in the corporate world, a background in recruitment, training, and business development. I've worked and lived in numerous countries, so I see that there is a great synergence and level of understanding between us and the clients that we work on.
Yeah, that's right.
Today, I thought it would be a good opportunity to talk a bit about resilience, because I think it's very much needed in today's climate and giving a lot of issues that people are facing. And again, we can't generalize, because as much as there's great opportunity, there is also a lot of businesses that are losing money hand over fist and really not quite understanding where to, or, you know, to develop and how to move forward. I think for the individual, I mean, resilience brings a focus on mental health and awareness, and as you said, balance in life, balance, work, business, life balance. But today we're very much here to talk about business, so resilience in business and what that means.
Yeah.
Over the last 18 months, we have seen various businesses that are just no longer viable. We've seen businesses radically changing what they do, and some markets that are just non-existent now, the travel industry, the duty-free market, they're businesses that have just had zero turnover. There's nothing. They have had to change or close. We've seen a lot of businesses that have radically changed their offerings, from selling travel accessories to selling people or home office supplies, as an example. So I think it's admirable to see how so many people have survived and done well in business. And I think there's been a massive shift. The whole working from home concept has changed our world for so many businesses. And I guess, you know, the question raised itself, how do we deal with some of those things?
Yeah, it comes down to understanding what resilience is in business, in personal life. And I see a crossover between being resilient in your personal life, because there's a lot of things that we go through personally. Sometimes it teaches us how to tackle the difficulties when you're running a small business, for example. So it's just understanding what does resilience mean? What does it entail? And then how can I, as a small business owner, apply some of these principles on a day-to-day basis or on a weekly basis, so that I'm able to get through the difficult times and then learn from it, as you were, alluding to, learn from the experiences and that self-improvement, so that then as a business owner, you can actually help your clients. So I see it as a chain of passing on goodwill to others, is in a way, because through your experiences and the business is how you survived, or even making a decision to close and start another business or a different business area or a different service or product, then you can actually teach your clients or your customers about resilience. That's what I've also been doing with some clients from my own personal experiences, but also from navigating COVID-19, where it has become difficult in the professional services industry, more competitive. There's price pressures. Clients, some of them have gone out of business, and we rely on fees as well as professionals. So basically, it's a good time to learn about oneself as well, about how resilient you are, how can you manage, but also about being aware of what your limits are. Knowing when to ask for help, which is one of the first points that we were going to talk about, around resilience as a small business owner.
And knowing that there's help there. Exactly.
So I guess the first thing would be having an awareness of, when do I ask for help and who do I ask? So I don't know if you find that some of your clients tell you, for example, they try and get in touch with the bank manager or somebody at the bank, but the bank is non-responsive.
Yeah.
So how are you finding it with clients in that regard?
Well, I mean, I think the best way to say, again, is everyone has a very different set of needs.
Yeah.
We all find ourselves in very, very different circumstances. Those that work for themselves have to find the motivation, the love, the passion, the drive, the resilience to keep going and to keep believing.
Yeah.
I also think that those that maybe have, premises, overheads, staff, find themselves in very, very different circumstances.
Yeah.
So I'd like to think that by reaching out, those people initially, there's a sense of relief. There's a sense of knowing that there's people that can support me. There's people, I'm not alone. There's experts and other people that I can bounce ideas off. I don't have to come up with all the solutions myself, and I don't have to do it all by tomorrow. So that level of support and time, having a plan and knowing that we're not on, that in itself has created relief and peace of mind for business owners and people.
Yeah. So one of the first things that I would say to people that may be looking at this video or this conversation is that, resilience is a process of adaptation and how well you adapt, I would say, in the process of adversity, of going through a difficulty, let's say COVID-19, or your business on the brink of, closing down or having financial difficulties. So it's a process. So the first thing I would like to, get people to understand, and in particular your clients, is that it's a process. So it's a process of adaptation on how well you deal with adversity. Okay.
Yeah.
And then within that process, there's various, I would say, mechanisms or tactics or activities that you can implement and act upon so that you go through that process of adapting well in the face of adversity, because we're all going to get through it eventually, through the adversity.
One way or the other.
Exactly. There's good times and bad times. So, if we keep it really simple, it's, adapting to the adversity in a way that you come out better in business.
So, I mean, dealing with conflict is a tough one. Most of us don't like it.
Yeah.
What would you say, or can you give people or our listeners today any advice around conflict? I know it's a very broad term, and I don't think we're going to find answers for everybody today, but just a few minutes or to touch on that concept would be helpful.
With conflict, and let's say within the context of resilience, if it's a process going through how well you go through adversity or a conflict, is understanding what the cause is. So what I tell clients is, look, let's seek to understand what the cause is, because sometimes in business it's not personal. If there's a conflict or an issue or a difficulty, it's just something that sometimes happens, like COVID, for example. So it's just understanding, okay, what gave rise to the conflict, to the issue. So then you look at solutions, and you look at a variety of solutions that you can actually evaluate as, which one would provide you the most immediate benefit, or you analyze short-term and long-term benefits, as well as the negatives of making a decision, to resolve that conflict, right? So it's always around understanding first, and also listening very carefully, or learning to be an active listener, because sometimes communication plays a big part in conflicts when maybe there is no conflict. So understanding first, because then you can come back to the drawing board and say, okay, well, this conflict, this is how I'm going to resolve it, and also understand the risks associated with that. There's controllable risks and uncontrollable risks. So how do we understand both, and can we identify the ones that we can control so that we can actually resolve them in an appropriate manner, and tapping into the support that we have, like your accountants, your lawyers, or your business advisors, or your financial advisors, so that you can get through it as a business owner. And then understanding also your own business. How does it work? How do you generate cash? How do you generate, or do you understand the sales cycle, right? Do you understand enough about tax? Do you understand enough about GST? Have you got the right structure, or maybe should you restructure, or maybe just sell the business? Is this the right time to sell? So it comes down to understanding what gives rise to the conflict. Or maybe it could be that there are some personal issues that are transferring into your small business, which maybe you need to understand how to separate.
Correct.
By having some time off, talking to family, exercising, change your diet. There's a lot of things that could
well, the mental health, no doubt, plays a massive role, whether you're the owner or a team member.
So what I would say to the way I'll give I'll explain to you how we deal with clients is that we always seek to understand first. Very basic principle about the conflict. We then look at ways to deal with the conflict or the adversity, right? Whether it's financial, personal, or health, which is related depending on the business, depending on what you do. If you're let's say a fitness instructor and you're unwell, you can't provide service to your clients because you can't take them out, do exercise, or even with COVID, you may not be well mentally that you can't service your clients through a digital medium. So it's just understanding and then looking at the ways that you can get through and then taking action. So reset your goals and then taking action. So not just say it, but also doing it.
Realignment.
And also, and I also tell clients, let's set realistic expectations, because we're not going to see results immediately, possibly, but essentially, as long as we take one step at a time, we'll get through it. You'll get to the goal and then achieve the next goal and so forth.
Great. Well, I had obviously jotted down a couple of comments and a couple of bullet points of topics I wanted to cover, which were, the financial downturn, realigning. How do we relax? How do we ask for help? How do we deal with conflict? Those items. And I mean, for me personally, this morning, I think we've covered them, or we've touched on a few of them. And I would only like to encourage people that we know to reach out, but I'd also like to encourage those that we don't yet know. And I'd like to reassure people that there is support out there, and there are things that we can do and we can help with. So is there anything else that you would like to add to this morning before we?
In terms of, I guess, the financial side, what I like in terms of what you do with, when we've got mutual clients. So what I like about the work that you do is that you always analyze the P&L or the profit and loss for each client and seek to understand, finding ways to minimize costs. So avoid wasteful spending, because we're going through difficulties. And this is for everybody, by the way. Every single business owner in New Zealand and all across the world is facing, the same issues around
uncertainty.
How do we, exactly. So how do we deal with the financial pressures when we're not generating enough revenue, or when we're not actually realigning ourselves to a new business model? Let's say going from retail, brick and mortar to online, fully online. And that takes time. You can't just do that overnight. You need professional help. You need a digital team that knows what they're doing. So it's looking at, setting deadlines and looking at your P&L or your profit and loss statement and minimize wasteful spending.
Well, helping people understand, because people go off and do what they do, but don't necessarily see how a small change can make a massive difference.
Yeah, and also let's say around that, the small change that you just mentioned, also looking at your revenue streams and looking at, should I increase prices? Look at your product mix or your service line mix. Should I increase prices, or should I create group discounts? So it's a really good opportunity as well to look at how you can generate a little bit more income, and then minimize your expenses or keep them nice and lean until you get through the difficult times. And then, we go back to level one, let's say. If you're a retailer or a restaurant or something like that, where people will go out and spend more money because we're social. We need to socialize. Exactly. As humans, we socialize, whether we want or not. It's in us. So, and if you're a restaurant or a takeaway, or even in retail, you can realign or reimagine your business model through online, or just increasing prices, getting rid of services,
and still try and look after those very precious customers that we have as well.
And also,
from a sales,
you rely on a client base. Also, in professional services, for example, I'm open or available to my clients. Working sometimes on the weekends just to help them out. I'm very sort of time or deadline driven, so I tend to put pressure on myself on key deadlines to be there for the clients, and the same for our team. We have a staff of 12 people that work in our practice and growing, and basically we're all on alert for clients because they need us. And also the IRD or the authorities, that help businesses as well, the Ministry of Innovation and Business and Employment, they are also available. The IRD are very helpful at the moment.
They are.
So
when one
managing the tax better, and also
it's a two-way street.
Yeah, and taking advantage of all the tax benefits available. I mean, talk to your accountant, talk to your lawyer, and just see how you can maximize all those tax write-offs around GST, provisional tax,
expensing assets.
Yeah. Home office expenditure. Maybe you're using more of your home than you can actually, you realize, because the rules have been made so that you can actually capture more expenditure related to the business activity. So there's ways that you can actually get through the financial side of things. Talk to the bank about maybe refinancing or getting an overdraft or renegotiating interest rates if you actually, if your bank is charging you a little bit more than what they should. So that's also a good way to get through financial.
Well, they're really helpful tips.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that people that listen today go, oh, I can do that. Or maybe I actually just need to reach out and understand that I don't have to do it all alone. There are people and businesses and professionals out there that can help and support and advise so that I can remove some of the stress that I'm dealing with, because financial pressure is extremely stressful. Let's face it. It's very hard for a lot of people to deal with. So some of those small changes that might not be initially apparent can make a big difference.
Yeah, and also, I mean, if you look at the concept of being resilient and having a small business, I was talking to my son earlier today about having pressure, and I call it pressure that almost gives you a heart attack, but it's not going to give me a heart attack. But what I refer to is that, there's pressure points or pressure that it's actually creates movement in the day to get things done, and then later on in the week you can actually relax a little bit.
Done's done.
Exactly. So
this discipline
and letting go and being flexible as well. So being flexible around work, what you can do, what you cannot do, what you can say no to. So sometimes we are experts at saying yes all the time, but we should also become experts or
honor ourselves.
Exactly, of saying no, because I've got family, I've got my body, my mind to take care of. And because at the end of the day, a problem will have a solution. Yeah. So that's really also what I like about what you do, Fiona, with your clients, that you always look for the solution to a problem that you identify or you actually come across. And that's basically sometimes letting go and let somebody find the problem for you. I've got lawyers as well, and I've got advisors that I engage so that they help me solve the problems around my businesses as well. So, it's being realistic. And on this point as well, it's remaining positive. And this is not wishful thinking. This is more around being realistic about the possibilities that things will get better as long as you take action, as long as you seek help, and as long as you take care of yourself as well.
The follow through is no doubt very important.
So, and also putting aside all those negative thoughts that are triggered by either social media, the news, or even conversations that start very innocently around topics that end up being arguments, and that could happen easily with family around topics, contentious stuff like politics, religion, philosophy, life, business, money.
Oh, we're seeing that all the time, aren't we? Great segregation, great differences, a lack of acceptance.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
And how do you motivate yourself? And that would come through self-awareness, knowing that you're actually, finding the meaning of what you do on a daily basis.
Yeah. Right? And for some people that it's also identifying what those things are.
Yeah.
And what do I actually need so that I can be the best at what I do. And of course, and touching on the private side of it and the family and making sure that we can turn up every day. And if we go, I'll do it later or I'll do it tomorrow, then maybe that's the best choice for today.
Yeah, and look, I honestly believe that owning a business or even if you work full-time as a salary and wage employee for somebody and have a side business, businesses are one of the best ways to help somebody else because you're providing a solution in a market, in a place where people are looking for somebody to help them achieve something personally, whether it's a service or a product or innovative technology. All great businesses, all the well-known brands started with an idea or something small.
Correct. And a lot of them have been through massive downturns, made it all again, lost it all again, and then succeeded.
Yeah.
And that is what resilience is, right?
Yeah. That teaches you, and that's a great motivator. That if you've got a small business, even if you're helping one client a day or a week, people are
adding great value.
You're adding value. I mean, I tell clients all the time. And vice versa, if you're an employee, you're working for your employer, you're actually adding value, although it may not be recognized. But essentially, you gotta believe that you're actually adding value because it's the truth. I mean, if you're getting paid a salary and a wage for doing something on a weekly basis, it's because you're actually adding value through a process of activities that add value to an end consumer. So,
and there's satisfaction in that too.
Oh, of course there is. I mean, there has to be, but again, it comes down to the person accepting it and understanding it, and then thinking it and acting it out. So, and this is where the mental well-being or the mental health
is part of it.
It's part of it, and this is where employers now we're actually looking. As an employer myself, we're looking at ways so that our employees can actually not be overworked. And also doing something that they like, a challenge, but we are spending a lot on training. We're training them.
Well, from my background in recruitment, there is, staff turnover. Recruitment is a massive cost to the business. It is much easier to keep a person than it is to find, recruit, train, and bring up to speed. So I think businesses do need to shift their focus from... And support their individuals because, we are, people are business. Whether that's your own business or whether you, as you say, go to work for a salary and wage.
That's right. And business is about people. Without people, there is no business. You look at the world, how it's, designed and created or, evolved, if you look at it that way. Basically, there is so much that we can do and enjoy from it in businesses and all the transactions and things that we can do for each other. This is the time to maybe start a business, a small business, or if you've got a small business, just go through the through those pain barriers or difficulties or conflicts.
It's about identifying your passion too. I mean, we're only on the planet for, however many years. The days are so long, the weeks are so long. I think it's really important that people are able to do something that creates joy.
Yeah, look, I sometimes I joke that if we were to put as much passion into our work, or passion or energy as to what we do, or the energy or the rush that we get when the All Blacks are winning, or when we win the World Cup, or we celebrate.
Wouldn't we have a wonderful? That would change the world.
Yeah, so it's also perspective. How what's your perspective on things? What's your perspective on work or what you do? And finding that motivation. So looking at resilience, being self-aware, letting go, realign those goals, set new goals, mentally, meditate, think positive thoughts actually do us good. Also,
golden mind.
Physical exercise, go out, change your diet, go out for walks. Walks are very good. 20-minute walk, it's very good for yourself, for your mental health, let's say. And basically, look at your business as something that adds value. So if you're a small business owner, you always got to think this is something that adds value. And whether it's a small business or growing, or it's going to become a large business, think of it as something, as a mechanism that adds value to New Zealand, to the people that live in this country. Because there'll be people that want to work with you, there'll be people that won't want to work with you. So focus on the ones that want to work with you.
Absolutely.
Because they believe what you believe, and also want you to help them, or they want your product.
Our connection is vital, no doubt.
Yeah.
But Cristian, I have lost track of the time.
Yeah.
I really don't know what time it is.
We're actually on time. We're very good.
Good. Well, without going into too much further information, I think we should just, I'd like to say thank you.
Yeah.
I'd also like to inform listeners that we've come up with a couple of topics that we think are relative of addressing. So we hope that it adds value. We hope that it puts people's mind at ease. And it's also a way of us talking to a much wider community than what we're currently doing. So I guess we'll look forward to hearing from people. You're on LinkedIn. Your business is called the Synergy Advisory. So people can find your website at synergyadvisory.co.nz.
Yeah.
My business is called Sorted Out. We work closely depending on what's needed and what's called for. We're good at solving problems.
Yeah.
So I encourage people, thank you for your time. And I'm going to say, look forward to the next one.
Yeah, no, thank you, Fiona. I really appreciate it. And yeah, like you said, we're going to have some very interesting topics to discuss. Some of it will be slightly technical, maybe, but this one.
Or when we talk about GST and things, provisional.
So we've decided to come up with a list that are going to help small business owners, and then to engage, and also, and this is at no cost. So this is something that we want to add, as Fiona was mentioning, adding value, and we're also not wanting to set any high expectations of anything. This is a discussion, and we want to help those that want to be helped. And you can find me on LinkedIn or our website, and we're soon going to have a new one. And always a pleasure, Fiona. So
always a pleasure. Thanks, Cristian.
No worries.
Well, absolutely. I'll talk to you soon.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye. Okay.
Okay, I'm going to stop recording. Hold on.
I don't know. You're in control.
Yeah, this one.